One of my favorite things about shooting with a mirrorless camera is the ability to observe life in black and white. Because you can see the preview of the image in real time, this actually allows you to see the light and the shadow more clearly when previewing in a monochrome profile. You can notice the shapes and the lines in your surroundings, and you can focus on the moment and the emotion without the distraction of color. In this video, I'm going to break down 2 black and white photos and talk about the vision behind each photo, how I see the light, how I see the composition opportunities, and how I arrange all the elements into a cohesive photo. But before we dive into it, I wanted to take a moment to thank today's video sponsor, Squarespace. I've actually been using Squarespace for over 10 years. Their templates and easy-to-use interface make it incredibly simple to create and maintain a professional-looking website without any coding experience necessary. My Squarespace website was an essential part of how I built my photography business. It allowed me to showcase my portfolio, share recent work on my blog, and receive inquiries from potential clients through my contact form. If you're one of those photographers relying on your Instagram profile as the sole place to share your work and build your photography business, I would really consider making a website on Squarespace. You can visit squarespace.com/Reggie Ballesteros to start a free trial and get 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. Thanks again to Squarespace for sponsoring this video. So first up, we're going to break down this photo that I took in the Natural History Museum in New York City. Using a black and white filter, specifically the Acros filter on my Fujifilm camera, it allowed me to simplify the entire scene and really hone in on the geometry of what was in front of me. So basically, this photo started out with a lot of negative space that created a triangle to frame a subject. This wall on the right-hand side was closer to me, and it created the first side of the triangle, and then there was actually this ledge where this person was walking. There was a lot of people walking, passing by, which created the second side of the triangle. And to finish off the triangle, there was also a ledge on the upper side that you can't really see that was above me that created the full triangle. One of the things that I like to do is when I'm taking photos, I like to try to create vertical lines, so really making sure that this vertical line was perpendicular to the horizontal of the frame, creating a 90-degree angle, just to make sure that everything was nice and straight. As far as the lighting goes, with a backlit scene and having some type of figure in front of it, it's an opportunity to create a silhouetted subject. For this, I expose for the highlights, which basically means making sure that the brightest part of the scene is exposed in a way that's not blown out. And by exposing for the highlights, this will actually take all the shadows and drop it to black, which in turn creates a lot of negative space to create a more conceptual looking photos. Ultimately, once this type of photo is shot in black and white, it simplifies all the colors. For this particular photo, the compression to kind of create this nice tight shape was made with the 33mm 1.4 lens on Fujifilm, which is an equivalent of a 50mm focal length. And as far as the settings go, I shot it at f16 to really get the depth, which would create a sharper line of the triangle as well as the person in the back. So getting the full range of the focus. I shot it at ISO 640, which is basically when you're trying to shoot high dynamic range on the Fujifilm cameras, that's going to be the best dynamic range for the ISO invariant sensor. And I shot it at 1/80th of a second. In retrospect, I probably should have shot that a little bit higher, maybe 1/160, but I'm not really sure what I was thinking at the time. Overall, this image is a great way to showcase how black and white can really simplify the composition, as well as help you to observe a scene or an environment and really pick out the different compositional opportunities. This next image was shot at a pumpkin patch with my kids, with my family. After we bought some pumpkins, we were trying to leave the pumpkin patch and there was an ice cream truck. So obviously you've got 2 kids, you gotta get ice cream because they're gonna ask for it. So I was a sucker and I got my family ice cream. When we got back to the car, that's when we fed them the ice cream. And this was an opportunity for me to do kind of like a dramatic candid shot. And when you shoot in black and white, it really lets you hone in on where the light is coming from, specifically when you're trying to find nice contrasty light that lands on your subject's face. So here we have the late afternoon sunlight coming from left to right, which created hard directional light. And this light was going to be lighting the profiles of all the different subjects in here. It's my wife and my 2 kids. And basically you can see it kind of really highlights the face and keeps the far side in shadow. And when you're shooting in these types of environments with this type of lighting, it's called short lighting. So basically you shoot from the shadow side of the subject instead of shooting from the light side. I'm standing here and the light's coming from here and it's landing on the subject that way. So you can see that I'm on the shadow side, not the lit side. And again, this is also known as short lighting. What I kind of see here is a potential for a composition where I arrange my family to create basically a triangle, like a subtle triangle. So basically trying to layer everything together and positioning myself. When I'm shooting, I'm always kind of like kneeling down and shifting left to right to get everyone just in the perfect spot. And in this case, I make a triangle with my wife's head at the top, and then my older son at the left, and then my younger son on the right. And it creates this subtle triangle. It's not super obvious to the eye of an everyday person, but it is a subtle thing that creates this nice dynamic because it is part of the rule of odds, is a kind of photography concept. Everything looks better when it just kind of like you have like numbers of 3 or 7 or something like that, or 5. So now that I have this all going, it really comes down to the exposure. So here I'm also exposing for the highlights, basically taking the lit side of the face, making sure to expose for that. I don't really care about the shadow side of any of the subjects. I'm actually keeping the shadows dark so that it makes it very dramatic and it sells that dramatic look. And I shot this at f5.6 again to try to get some depth. You know, I'm getting pretty close to my younger son here, so he is a little bit falling out of focus, but that's okay. And I shot this with the X100V, which is a 23mm focal length or 35mm full frame equivalent. And I shot it at 1/500th of a second. See if I have the ISO here. I don't know if I have the ISO of this photo. And as far as the ISO goes, it was at ISO 160, which is the lowest for the X100V. And while I know a lot of people, a lot of photographers intuitively feel what a good photo is without consciously thinking about the lighting, the composition elements, or how things are arranged, for me, my personal approach is to observe my environment and then consider all these specific elements when I'm making the photo in real time. And after doing photography for over 15 years and 10 years as a professional wedding photographer, I've actually built up the skills to actually see all these things in real time and process these creative decisions in just a matter of seconds. I know that this video specifically can't replace years of experience and practice, especially in the professional setting. I'm hoping that by breaking down photos like this, I can help you to start to understand how to see your photography in this manner and hopefully apply it to your daily practice. So if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and leave a comment down below saying that you want to see more of these photography breakdowns. My name is Reggie Ballesteros. Thank you so much for watching. And if you want to see the specific recipe that I used to make these 2 photos on Fujifilm, check out this video right here.